Doom loomed over an alien fleet until humans came to save them. Sci-fi fleet moved slowly through the cold emptiness of space. Thousands of ships stretched across the black void like a living constellation, their lights flickering with quiet urgency. Each ship was massive, with hulls polished to a silver shine, and every one carried weapons and shields far beyond anything humans had yet imagined. The Valkyrie were a proud species, intelligent and careful, with centuries of experience in space warfare. Yet today, even their skill seemed small against the threat that loomed before them. At the front of the fleet, Talzak, a Valkyrie commander, watched the distant light of the energy storm grow brighter. His long, slender hands moved over the controls with precision, issuing orders to his subordinates. The storm was enormous, a swirling mass of blue and white energy that seemed alive. It moved with purpose, almost as if it could think. Every time one of its tendrils touched a ship, the vessel shuddered violently, and alarms screamed through the fleet. Talzak had seen destruction before, but nothing like this. His species had fought powerful enemies, but never one that seemed unstoppable, never one that could destroy everything without warning.
"Shields holding?" he asked a nearby officer, his voice steady but tense.
"Shields at 70%, Commander,"
the officer replied.
"We can hold, but only for a few more minutes." Talzak nodded. He knew that a few minutes might be all they had. The fleet had tried every tactic in their playbook: evasive maneuvers, energy dampeners, even coordinated plasma bursts. Nothing worked. The storm seemed to adapt to every attack, twisting and bending the energy of their weapons until it was almost harmless. Ships were starting to fall behind, some destroyed completely, others badly damaged. Panic had begun to spread among the crews. The Valkyrie had sent this fleet with one mission: to contain the storm before it reached inhabited systems. Failure was not an option. Talzak felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him like a physical force. The lives of thousands of Valkyrie depended on his decisions, and he could not let them die without a fight. Meanwhile, on a smaller monitoring ship far behind the main battle line, Lieutenant Mara Venn studied the readings on her console. She had been trained for this, but the numbers on her screen made her stomach twist with worry. Energy readings spiked unpredictably, and some ships that had been in perfect formation a moment ago were now just fragments on the scanner. "This is bad," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. "This is really bad." Another officer looked at her nervously. "Lieutenant, we need to send a distress signal to the Central Fleet." "They already know. Talzak won't like it if we just give up. But we can't stop the storm with what we have. We might need something else." She didn't finish the sentence because there was no answer she could give. There was nothing else. Back in the core of the fleet, Talzak made a decision. "Prepare the evacuation protocols," he said. His voice was calm, but every word carried weight. "If we cannot contain this, we must save what we can of our people. Launch the pods, preserve our history, our knowledge, everything that makes us Valkyrie." Launching the evacuation pods meant abandoning the fight, admitting defeat. Talzak saw the fear and frustration in their eyes, but he didn't waver. "We fight until the end," he continued, "but we protect the future." As the first pods launched, streaking away from the fleet like falling stars, a distant signal appeared on the sensors. It was faint, almost undetectable at first, but unmistakable. Something was moving toward the battle, a formation unlike anything Talzak had seen before. The sensors identified them as ships of unknown origin, but their energy signatures were smaller, more compact than Valkyrie vessels. "Who are they?" asked one of the officers. "I don't know," Talzak admitted, "but they're coming fast. Prepare for identification." I want a visual. The ships drew closer, and soon Talzek could see their sleek metallic hulls glinting in the light of the storm. Unlike the Valkyrie ships, these vessels were smaller, with smooth surfaces, and no visible weaponry that matched the power of their own. There was an elegance to their design, as if they had been built for speed and intelligence rather than brute force. On board the leading human ship, Captain John Carter watched the storm on his screens. He had been tracking it for weeks, observing the Valkyrie fleet struggle from a distance. The humans had been preparing in secret, unsure if the aliens would welcome them or see them as a threat. Carter was not a soldier in the traditional sense. He was an explorer, a scientist, and he understood danger in a way that was calm but precise. Beside him, physicist Lily Grant and engineer Ryan Brooks monitored the ship's instruments.
We can't just watch them die, Lily said softly.
No, we can't. But if we go in, we have to be smart.
The storm isn't like anything the Valkyrie have seen. It's adaptive, and it's powerful. We need to find a way to disrupt it, or we'll all be destroyed. Ryan leaned forward, pointing to a series of calculations on his display. We can use harmonic resonance. If we match the storm's frequency, we might destabilize it long enough for the Valkyrie fleet to regroup. Are you saying humans could save them? Ryan shrugged. It's a chance, not guaranteed. But it's better than doing nothing. John made his decision quickly. Set the course. We're going in. Everyone prepare for high-risk engagement. Our goal isn't to fight the storm head-on, it's to disrupt it long enough for the Valkyrie to survive. That's all we need. As the human fleet accelerated toward the Valkyrie ships, Talzek watched them with suspicion. He had fought many species before, and most of them attacked first and asked questions later. But these ships didn't fire. They moved with purpose and confidence, as if they understood the danger more clearly than the Valkyrie did. Open a channel, Talzek ordered. I want to know their intentions. A voice came through the transmission in a strange accent, calm and precise. We are humans. We mean no harm. We can help you. We have a way to disrupt the storm. There was silence in the command room. Talzek's eyes narrowed. Humans? You expect me to trust you? John Carter appeared on the screen, flanked by Lily and Ryan. We understand this seems impossible, but we've studied the storm. We know how to interfere with its energy patterns. We don't have weapons that can destroy it directly, but we can destabilize it. We can give you a chance. Talzek considered this. He had faced death many times, but this was different. Entire systems were at risk. If the humans were lying, the Valkyrie fleet would die. But if they were telling the truth, they might be the only chance he had. Very well, he said finally. We will coordinate. But one mistake, and you will regret it. John nodded. Agreed. We don't want to fight you. We want to save you. As the humans moved into position, deploying strange devices that pulsed with rhythmic energy, the storm shifted. It seemed aware, almost as if it could sense their intentions. Ships on both sides shook under the force, alarms ringing and lights flickering. Talzek barked orders, coordinating the Valkyrie fleet with the humans in ways he never imagined. Every pulse from the human devices made the storm waver, its tendrils curling and retreating slightly. Slowly, painfully, the impossible began to feel possible. Talzek allowed himself a flicker of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, the doom that had loomed over his fleet was not absolute. In the distance, a small Valkyrie ship exploded, its pod ejecting in a flash of light. Talzek winced, but he knew that some loss was inevitable. The humans continued their careful work, their calm and confidence spreading to the Valkyrie crews. For the first time, Talzek felt that survival was within reach. And far behind the battle, in the human monitoring station, Lily, Ryan, and John watched the progress on their screens. The storm's energy was shifting, just as Ryan predicted. "It's working," Lily whispered. John nodded, his jaw tight. "But this is just the beginning. We have to stay focused. If we fail now, everyone dies." The fleet moved in silence, the two species working together against the impossible threat. Ships glided through space, dodging energy surges, launching pulses, and adjusting formations. Talzak had never seen anything like it. Humans were fragile, yes, but intelligent and brave in ways the Valkyrie could only admire. For the first time in centuries, the Valkyrie fleet was not alone, and for the first time, Talzek realized that survival might depend on something he had never truly believed in: another species. The storm writhed ahead, massive and terrifying, but for the first time, the Valkyrie did not face it with despair. They faced it with humans at their side, and that made all the difference. The battle was far from over, but a small spark of hope had been lit. And in the endless darkness of space, that spark was enough to keep the Valkyrie fighting, and to keep them alive. The human ships moved carefully into the heart of the storm, their small hulls glinting in the swirling blue and white energy. Captain John Carter guided them steadily, keeping his eyes on the screens and listening to the constant hum of the ship's systems. He could feel the pressure of responsibility weighing on him. Millions of Valkyrie lives depended on their success, and every second mattered. Beside him, Lily Grant adjusted the resonance frequencies on the control panel. "We're in range," she said, her voice calm but focused. "The storm is reacting to our signals already." Its energy patterns are shifting slightly. Ryan Brooks studied the readouts. "Slightly isn't enough. We need a stronger pulse. I can recalibrate the emitter, but it will put a lot of stress on our ship. We might take damage if I push it too far." John nodded. "Do it. We don't have the luxury of hesitation. Every moment we wait, more Valkyrie ships are destroyed." The human ship shuddered as Ryan increased the output. Outside, the storm twisted violently, lashing out with bright tendrils that struck empty space where other Valkyrie ships had once been. The explosions lit up the darkness, and the Valkyrie crews inside their vessels could only watch in fear. Talzek barked orders across his fleet. "Form a protective perimeter around the humans, use all shields, and redirect energy weapons to intercept debris. Protect them at all costs." A Valkyrie pilot, Cale Vorn, adjusted his ship's course, weaving through the chaos to reach the human vessels. His ship trembled with each energy surge, but Cale felt a strange sense of hope. Humans were fragile, yes, but their knowledge and courage were extraordinary. If they failed, the entire fleet would fall. If they succeeded, perhaps the Valkyrie could live to fight another day. On board the human lead ship, Captain John Carter could see the Valkyrie ships moving into formation.
"They're responding well," he said. "Good."
"That's exactly what we need." Ah. Suddenly, an energy tendril shot out from the storm, striking a Valkyrie destroyer. The ship exploded instantly, sending fragments spinning across space. Talzek's voice was sharp as he yelled commands. "Shield the nearby vessels. Divert all firepower to the outer edge. We cannot lose any more ships here." Despite the danger, the humans continued their work. Lily and Ryan adjusted the resonance pulses, timing them carefully with the movements of the storm. Slowly, the massive swirling energy began to wobble. It was not enough to stop the destruction entirely, but it was enough to give the Velkari ships a fighting chance. Mara Ven, watching from a secondary command station, felt a flicker of hope for the first time. "It's working," she whispered. "The storm is unstable. It's reacting to the humans." A younger Velkari officer, Drelianos, glanced at Mara nervously. "Do you really trust them? They are not like us. We have no history with humans. What if they fail or betray us?"
Mara shook her head.
"We have no choice. If we do nothing, we die. We have to trust them, at least for now." Meanwhile, in the human ship's control room, Ryan noticed a new pattern in the storm's energy. "Captain, there's a weak spot forming near the core. If we can reach it, we could destabilize the entire storm from inside." John leaned forward, gripping the edge of the console. "That's risky. The core is unstable, and the energy pulses will be violent. But it might be our only chance. Prepare the secondary probes. We need to move fast." Lily nodded. "I'll handle the probe programming." "We need them to resonate with the storm's frequency exactly, or they'll be destroyed before they reach the core." The team worked quickly, tension filling the air. Outside, the storm roared like a living creature, striking anything that dared approach. The Velkari fleet formed a shield around the humans, their own energy beams tearing at fragments of the storm to protect the small ships moving forward. Kael'Vorn's hands moved expertly over the controls, guiding a Velkari fighter alongside the humans.
"We've got your back," he said through the communicator.
"Don't worry about us. Focus on your mission." There was no room for conversation now. The storm was growing stronger with every pulse, its energy striking unpredictably. Every second was a battle, and every action had to be precise. The first probe launched, small but powerful, glowing with a blue light that matched the storm's core. Lily monitored its progress, adjusting its frequency in real time. The probe reached the outer edge of the core, and the storm recoiled as if it sensed the intrusion. "Core resonance detected," Ryan said, his voice tight with concentration. "The probe is stabilizing its path. Keep it going." Talzek watched the probe on his sensors, feeling a mix of awe and fear. "If they succeed, they could save us all," he muttered. But even as he said it, another Velkari ship exploded in a flash of light, reminding him of the stakes. The second probe followed, guided by Lily's careful calculations. The storm surged, striking violently at the probes, but they held steady. Slowly, they moved closer to the heart of the storm, where the energy swirled in a chaotic dance. In one of the human ships, John saw a sudden spike on the monitor. "The storm is adapting," he said. "It's learning. It's trying to counter our pulses." "That's not surprising. We expected it. We have to adjust frequencies dynamically. Lily, are you ready?" "Always," she replied, her fingers moving over the controls with skill and speed. The probe sent out new pulses, carefully calculated to match the changing patterns. The storm writhed violently, sending waves of energy that shook both human and Velkari ships. Explosions lit the void, and alarms rang across the fleet. Still, the probes held their course. Kael'Vorn's fighter took a direct hit from a storm tendril, spinning out of control. "I'm hit," he shouted. "I need backup," Talzek barked orders, redirecting nearby Velkari ships to shield him. Explosions lit the dark space, but Kael managed to stabilize his craft. "I'm okay," he said, his voice shaky. "But the storm is stronger than we thought." John looked at the monitors, tension etched on his face.
"We can do this," he said firmly. We just need to push a little further.
Keep the probes on course. We're almost there. The probes reached the inner core, the energy so intense that the ships around them shuddered. Ryan adjusted the pulses one last time, and the storm reacted violently, twisting and writhing. For a moment, it seemed as though it would destroy everything in its path. Then, slowly, it began to collapse inward, drawn by the resonance pulses. The storm's chaotic energy began to fracture, breaking apart piece by piece. The Valkyrie ships cheered silently, though the battle was not over. The humans continued their work, ensuring the collapse continued and did not reverse. A small Valkyrie ship, damaged but still functional, moved forward to guide the final probe. Cal Vorn volunteered, knowing it would be dangerous. "I'll do it," he said. "This is our chance. We have to finish it." The probe moved into the heart of the storm, glowing brightly. John watched closely, monitoring its progress. "This is it," he said. "One final pulse. If it works, the storm will collapse completely." Ryan activated the final pulse. The energy surged outward, striking the storm with precision. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, with a blinding flash of light, the storm began to implode, its tendrils curling inward and collapsing on themselves. The energy waves diminished, and the void of space became quiet once more. Talzek watched in awe. "It's done," he whispered. "They've done it." The Valkyrie fleet slowly moved forward, scanning the area. The storm was gone. In its place was empty space, calm and silent. Ships that had been damaged drifted but remained intact. Crews cheered quietly, relief and gratitude washing over them. On board the human ships, John, Lily, and Ryan allowed themselves a moment to breathe. The mission had been dangerous, almost suicidal, but it had worked. The Valkyrie were alive, and the storm was gone. Caleb Vorn approached Talzek's command ship. "They saved us," he said simply.
"Humans saved us." Talzek nodded, his expression serious but respectful. "Yes."
"And we owe them our lives. They are not like us, but they are worthy allies." John Carter activated the communicator. "We're glad we could help," he said. "But remember, this storm is gone, not destroyed forever. Be careful in the future." Talzek bowed slightly. "We will remember. Humanity has proven itself to be strong, brave, and intelligent. You have our respect." The two species shared a long silence, each understanding the magnitude of what had just happened. The Valkyrie had faced certain doom, and the humans had given them a chance to survive. It was the beginning of something new, a partnership born not from diplomacy, but from courage, trust, and the willingness to face impossible odds together. As the fleets moved away from the site of the storm, the stars seemed brighter, the void calmer. Talzek watched the humans, realizing that hope had a new face in the galaxy. The Valkyrie had survived, and perhaps with allies like these humans, they could face whatever the future held. For now, though, the relief was enough. They had survived the impossible, and the galaxy felt, just for a moment, like a place where miracles could happen. The storm was gone, but the galaxy was not yet safe. The remnants of its energy swirled in pockets, unstable and dangerous. The Valkyrie fleet moved cautiously, scanning for residual energy bursts that could destroy any ship unlucky enough to drift too close. Even though the humans had disrupted the storm, the cosmic entity's power had been immense, and its effects lingered. Captain John Carter looked at the sensors on his ship, noting the faint traces of unstable energy. "It's not over," he said. His voice was calm, but there was tension beneath it. There are still pockets of residual energy. If we don't stabilize them, the storm could return, or worse, collapse into another unpredictable formation. Lily Grant leaned over her console. We can use additional resonance probes. If we place them carefully, they can neutralize the leftover energy and prevent another surge. Ryan Brooks shook his head. It's risky. The closer we get to the energy cores, the more dangerous it becomes. One wrong move, and we could lose the probes, and possibly our ships. John nodded. I know. But we don't have a choice. We can't leave the Valkyrie fleet exposed. We have to finish what we started. Talzek watched the human ship's actions with a mixture of awe and respect. They are fearless, he muttered to himself. They are willing to risk everything to save us. Cale Vorn, still recovering from the previous strikes, approached Talzek. They are not like any allies we have had before. They are fragile, yes, but their minds are sharp and fast. We must trust them completely. The humans launched the secondary probes, small devices that glowed softly as they moved through space. They were guided carefully toward the pockets of residual energy. The probes emitted rhythmic pulses designed to stabilize the energy and prevent it from reforming into a storm. As the probes approached their targets, the storm's remnants reacted violently. Streams of energy shot outward, striking anything in range. One Valkyrie ship was hit, its shields flickering as sparks flew across the hull. Cale Vorn's fighter dove in to shield the damaged ship, taking several minor hits but managing to keep the vessel safe.
Keep the probes on course, John ordered. Don't let the energy burst knock them off path.
Adjust the frequency as needed. Lily, Ryan, focus on stabilizing the pulses. Lily's fingers flew over the console. The energy is chaotic, but the probes are holding. We can do this if we keep steady. It's like walking on a tightrope over a volcano, but I've done worse. John allowed himself a small smile. Just keep the volcano from exploding, then. It writhed and twisted, dangerous and unpredictable, but the pulses began to calm it, pulling the energy into a more stable pattern. The Valkyrie ships around the probes formed a protective barrier, intercepting any stray blasts. Talzek watched, giving orders as quickly as he could. Divert shields to the outer perimeter. Concentrate fire on stray energy bursts. Protect the humans and the probes at all costs. A second core flared, bright and violent, as the storm's leftover power reacted to the humans' interference. John Carter adjusted the resonance frequency, and the probe moved carefully toward it. The energy surged outward, striking at the fleet, but the humans' careful calculations held it in check. Lily's voice was steady, though her hand shook slightly. We're getting close, just a little further. The core is unstable, but we can stabilize it. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy exploded from the core, throwing the nearby Valkyrie ships violently off course. Alarms rang across the fleet. Cale Vorn's fighter was hit again, spinning out of control. Talzek shouted orders, but it was clear that the storm's remnants were fighting back with everything they had. John's jaw tightened.
We're not losing anyone else. Ryan, increase the pulse output.
Lily, synchronize it with the shield frequencies. We need to push this core into stability now. The ship shuddered under the strain, sparks flying across the console. The probe in the core pulsed brighter than ever, its energy resonating perfectly with the storm's chaos. Slowly, painfully, the core began to stabilize. The bursts of energy diminished and the surrounding ships steadied. Cale Vorn managed to regain control of his fighter. We're holding, he reported, but the cores are dangerous. There's still more to do. John nodded. We know. That's why we're not stopping.
The third probe launched, targeting the largest remaining core of energy. This one was the most unstable, and every calculation had to be perfect. One misstep could destroy the probe and damage the fleet. The humans coordinated closely with the Valkyrie, guiding the probe through the chaotic energy. As the probe approached the core, it was struck by a massive burst, throwing it off course. Ryan quickly recalculated the pulse frequency and stabilized it. "We're back on track," he said, relief evident in his voice. Lily adjusted the timing. "Synchronizing now. The core is responding."
We can do this. Talzek watched, tense, as the energy core writhed violently.
Hold the perimeter! Protect the humans!
Every ship, focus fire on the unstable bursts. The Valkyrie ships fought with determination, intercepting stray energy blasts and holding the line. Their combined efforts with the humans created a fragile balance, allowing the probe to penetrate the core and emit its stabilizing pulse. Slowly, the storm's remnants began to collapse inward, drawn into a stable configuration. John Carter's ship shook as the final pulse reached the core. "This is it," he said. "Hold steady. Do not let anything disrupt it." The storm writhed one last time as if resisting its own defeat. Energy streams lashed outward, striking the fleet and shaking ships violently. Talzek barked orders, and Kaelvorn's fighter dove to intercept a direct strike, taking damage but saving a smaller Valkyrie vessel. Then, with a blinding flash, the energy collapsed completely. The storm was gone, leaving only calm, dark space in its place. Ships floated quietly, the chaos replaced by a still, peaceful void. Talzek breathed a sigh of relief. "It's done," he said, his voice almost unsteady. We survived." "Thanks to the humans," he said. "They risked everything to save us." John Carter activated the communicator. "We're glad we could help," he said. "But remember, the storm was unstable."
You must be careful in the future. This kind of energy can return in another form.
Talzek nodded. "We understand." "Ha. You have our respect. Humans, you are stronger than we ever imagined. Brave, clever, and willing to risk everything for others." The Valkyrie crews began repairs on their ships, their movements slower now, careful after the stress of the storm. John, Lily, and Ryan monitored the fleet, ensuring that the residual energy was fully neutralized. "Your people are remarkable," he said. "We have fought many battles, faced many enemies, but I have never seen courage like this. You saved us all. We just did what had to be done. You fought too. Without your fleet, we couldn't have done this. We worked together." Talzek stood silently, looking out at the calm void. The battle had changed him. The Valkyrie had faced death, and humans had shown them that even the smallest, most fragile species could make a difference when courage and intelligence were combined. Mara Ven, watching from a secondary command station, felt tears in her eyes. "They saved us," she whispered. "Humans saved us." Drelia Nos, who had been skeptical of the humans at first, nodded slowly. "They have proven themselves. They are more than allies. They are."
John Carter and his team remained vigilant.
The battle had been won, but the galaxy was vast and dangerous. They knew other threats could appear at any time. Still, for now, they allowed themselves a moment of quiet pride. They had faced the impossible and succeeded. Talzek approached John's ship one last time. "We owe you our lives," he said solemnly. "How can we ever repay you?" John shook his head. "No repayment needed. You will survive. That is enough." Lily and Ryan smiled faintly. exhausted but relieved. The human team had completed their mission, and the Valkyrie were alive. That was the victory that mattered. As the fleets moved away from the remnants of the storm, Talzek realized something important. Humans were fragile in body, yes, but their minds, their courage, and their determination were unmatched. In the galaxy, strength was not only in weapons or ships, but in intelligence, trust, and the willingness to act when others would hesitate. Cale Vorn looked at John's ship, a rare smile on his face. "We survived," he said, "because of them." And in that moment, the galaxy seemed a little safer, the stars a little brighter, and the Valkyrie fleet a little stronger. They had faced doom, and they had survived, thanks to humans. For the first time, Talzek felt hope, not just for survival, but for a future where Valkyrie and humans could stand together, facing any challenge the universe might send their way. The Valkyrie fleet moved slowly through space, the tension from the storm finally fading. Ships that had been damaged were now patched, and crews were assessing losses. Though the battle had been won, the cost had been high. Explosions had taken many lives, and every survivor carried the memory of what had almost destroyed them. Talzek stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the stars. He had faced countless threats in his lifetime, but nothing had tested him like the storm and the humans who had saved them. He still could not fully comprehend how a species so young and fragile had the courage to risk everything for the Valkyrie. Cale Vorn approached him, his fighter docked nearby. "They are remarkable," he said quietly. "I doubted them at first. I did not know what humans could do. Now I see they are not only brave, they are clever, resourceful, and wise." Nodded slowly. "Yes, they are our saviors. Without them, the fleet would be gone. The storm would have consumed everything." Meanwhile, the humans were preparing to depart. Captain John Carter and his team had been coordinating the stabilization of the last energy pockets. Lily Grant checked the sensors one last time. "All residual energy is neutralized," she reported. "The storm will not return." Ryan Brooks leaned back in his chair, exhausted. "I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad to see it gone. That thing was relentless." John Carter smiled faintly. "We did what we had to do. The Valkyrie survived, and we proved something important. Strength is not only in weapons, it is in courage, trust, and intelligence." As the humans prepared to leave, Talzak requested a communication link. "Humans," he said, his voice calm but heavy with respect, "we wish to formally thank you. You saved not only our fleet, but the future of our species. Words cannot express our gratitude." John Carter replied, "We did not do it for thanks. We did it because it was the right thing to do. You would have done the same for us, I am sure." Talzek considered this, then nodded. "Perhaps you are right. But gratitude must be expressed. You are now recognized as allies of the Valkyrie. A partnership is born today, one forged in courage and trust. The Valkyrie began offering resources and knowledge to the humans. Ships carrying advanced materials, medical supplies, and information on their technology docked at the human vessels. John, Lily, and Ryan were impressed by the generosity and humility of the Valkyrie. Though the humans had helped save them, the Valkyrie offered partnership in return, not repayment. Cale Vorn approached John personally. "We have never had allies like you," he said. "We have fought many enemies, and we have negotiated with many species. But humans—"
"You are different. You are courageous, wise, and willing to act when others hesitate."
"You are heroes to the Valkyrie." John shook his head. We are just explorers, doing what we can. The real heroes are everyone who survived and helped guide the probes.
You fought bravely, Kale.
Perhaps, but you are the ones who gave us the chance. Without you, we would have been lost. On board the Valkyrie flagship, Talzek convened a meeting with his top officers. The humans have proven themselves, he said. Their technology and courage are extraordinary. We must build relations with them. Together, we can face threats we cannot overcome alone. Mara Ven, who had been skeptical of humans before the battle, spoke up. They are more than allies, she said. They are friends, and friends can change the course of history. Drelianas nodded in agreement.
Yes, we owe them our lives.
We must honor that by sharing knowledge, cooperating, and standing ready to protect one another. Meanwhile, John, Lily, and Ryan took a moment to rest. The tension of the past days weighed heavily on them. They had faced death, navigated chaos, and risked everything to help another species. But there was a deep satisfaction in knowing they had made a difference. Lily leaned back in her chair. I never thought humans could make this kind of impact so far from home, she said. We have a lot to learn from the Valkyrie as well. Ryan nodded. Their technology is impressive, and their courage is something else. But working together, that's what made the difference. John looked out the window at the Valkyrie ships. This is only the beginning, he said. If we can work together, humans and Valkyrie can face anything. The universe is full of dangers, but together we are stronger. Talzek and John arranged a formal pact between their species. It was simple but powerful. Cooperation, knowledge sharing, and mutual defense. For the first time in history, Valkyrie and humans had established a bond of trust, born from survival and courage rather than diplomacy alone. Kale Vorn stood by the dock, watching the humans prepare to depart. They changed everything, he said softly to Talzek. We faced doom and they gave us hope. Hope is stronger than fear, Talzek. Today, they showed us that. Talzek nodded. Yes. Today, humanity has taught us a lesson we will never forget. The Valkyrie fleet slowly resumed its course, moving toward home systems. The humans prepared to return to their own space, their mission complete. Before departing, John activated a communication link. Talzek, he said, we will be back if you ever need us. Not as saviors, but as partners and friends. Talzek's voice was steady but full of emotion. We will remember. The galaxy is vast, but alliances born in courage last forever. You are welcome among the Valkyrie at any time. As the human ships accelerated into deep space, the Valkyrie watched silently. They had survived doom, not through their own strength alone, but through courage, trust, and the actions of humans who had risked everything for them. The lesson was clear. In the galaxy, no one species could face the universe alone. Strength came from cooperation, intelligence, and bravery. Kale Vorn approached Talzek once more. Will we see them again? He asked. Talzek smiled faintly. I believe so. And when we do, we will be stronger for it. Today, humans saved us. Tomorrow we face the universe together. Back on the human ships, John, Lily, and Ryan reflected on the events. The storm had tested them in ways they had never imagined, but it had also shown them what humans could achieve. Their courage, intelligence, and willingness to act when others hesitated had saved an entire species. Lily looked at the stars. We came to observe a battle, but we ended up changing the outcome of history. Ryan nodded. And we proved that humans can make a difference, even against impossible odds. John smiled. But this is just the beginning. The galaxy is full of threats, mysteries, and wonders. And now we know that humanity is not alone. As they moved into deep space, the human crew felt a sense of accomplishment. They had faced fear, chaos, and destruction, and emerged victorious. But more than that, they had forged a bond that would last for generations, a bond between two species who had learned that courage, trust, and intelligence were more powerful than any weapon. On the Valkyrie flagship, Talzek looked out at the stars, a rare smile on his face. Doom loomed over us, he said quietly. But humans came, and in doing so, they gave us a future. Yes, and we will never forget. The fleets moved apart, each continuing their own journey, but the memory of the storm and the courage of humans remained. In the vast darkness of space, two species had met in the face of impossible odds, and together they had triumphed. For the first time in generations, the Valkyrie felt hope, and for humans, the galaxy seemed full of possibilities, adventures, and the chance to make a difference wherever they went. The stars shone brighter that day, as if acknowledging the courage of those who had faced doom and refused to yield. Talzek whispered softly, more to himself than anyone else, "Humans, we owe you our lives, and we will never forget your bravery." John Carter, Lily Grant, and Ryan Brooks watched the stars pass by, knowing they had done something extraordinary. They had risked everything, faced a force beyond imagination, and saved an entire species. And though the universe was still vast, dangerous, and full of unknowns, they knew one thing for certain: courage and intelligence, combined with trust, could change the course of history. And somewhere in the galaxy, a bond had been forged that would endure, between Valkyrie and humans, between survival and hope, between fear and courage. The storm was gone, but the lessons it taught would remain forever. And so, as the fleets drifted in their separate paths, one truth became clear: the universe is vast and dangerous, but when species stand together, nothing is truly impossible. The stars glimmered, quiet and peaceful, and a new chapter of interstellar friendship and alliance had begun.